Most of us live in a constant rush, whether it's continuous deadlines and constant messages and reminders of different things to do. But when was the last time you really took a time to slow down, hear your thoughts, hear your reflections? I think that connecting with nature on a macro scale, as I am right now, here in near Mackinac Island, up north in Michigan, it's beautiful here. Nature on a macro scale is important, but I think just as important it is to connect with nature on a macro level by taking a few days out or going out to just do a camping trip like I am right now. I think it is as important, if not even more important, to connect with nature on a micro scale. And what I mean by that is on a daily routine in which you take a few minutes out every day to connect with nature. Today, I want to convince you that by connecting with nature on a macro and also micro level, you can better understand your own questions that you have, and you can better understand you because you can better hear yourself, hear your own thoughts. One of the main reasons that I believe nature has this ability to help us reconnect with ourselves is because the lives that most of us live nowadays, it's designed to keep us busy with our phone, always having to have it on us. And even if we do try getting rid of it, it makes the life that we currently live very difficult. And with this thing to do, that assignment to complete, that deadline to finish, that message to reply to, that email to make sure you reply to by tonight, it can get very hard to find a quiet moment in which your mind is not thinking about the next thing. By connecting with nature, at least on a macro level, like going out camping, just taking your car and just going out for a bit, or just taking your bike or walking somewhere, it doesn't have to be something massive, like planning a camping trip. But by taking a moment out, you have already invested in leaving your current affairs. And by taking that investment in which you have taken time and resources to leave your current state of routine, then you're breaking that routine and you're putting your mind in a mentality of, okay, I don't need to think about that right now. I don't need to focus on the next deadline ASAP. Connecting with nature is unique and special because instead of seeing the same 2D screen that you see every day, instead of hearing the same voices of those you know every day, instead of feeling the same air-conditioned air in the room that you feel, here, when you connect with nature, you connect with your senses feel different things and it varies. You see the beauty of nature, different creatures, the different species of trees, the different things in the sky, the different stars at night. You get to hear all the noises of all the animals around, the noises of even the trees swaying. And right now it's pretty busy, so the noises of the main road that's next to us. But hey, I'm not complaining. And of course, you get to feel the coolness of the air. There was morning dew this morning when I woke up from my tent, and the vibes were just off the chart. Another main function of nature is that it gets you thinking more long-term versus short-term. I believe that most people think short-term versus long-term on more often in their day and in their lives. And I know this because I used to be one of them, and I still am a lot, where I think very short term. For most of my life, I'm just, right now I just recently turned 21 and I'm a young adult living in America, but I think it's the same case for most young adults living around the world, that they go to school, middle school, then high school, then college, then get a career, be successful. That's the idea. Every single moment, every stage, you're always thinking about what's next. What's the next thing I have to do? What's the next thing I have to accomplish? When it's in middle school, you want to get to a good high school so that once you do really well in that high school, then you can move on to a good college. And then hopefully maybe an Ivy League or like a good college or something that's reputable, And then hopefully by the end of your 4 years or however many years of college, you then can get a good career that pays well. Every single day, if you're thinking about the next year, I can go to this school, or in a year, I can be at this job. If that's the main thing you're focusing on every day, that's quite short term because every stage of life is pretty short. Like high school is pretty short, college is pretty short. Even your first job can be pretty short. But what's not short are long-term goals. Long-term goals are those things that, regardless of where you are in your life, these things will stick. These are the things that, regardless of what stage you are and what you're busy with, this is what you have your eyes on in the end. And it could be anything. Personally, for me, I'm a Muslim, and I believe the main purpose of life is to worship God. And I think this is the main method to success. And so I try my best to focus every day as much as I can of my brain space, because we all have limited brain space. We all have limited resources on how much we can think about certain things. I try my best to at least allocate a good portion of my day to thinking about this, thinking about how it is that what I'm doing today contributes to my long-term goal of worshiping God. For me, one big thing is praying 5 times a day. Even though I don't want to pray my morning prayer, I still do it because it contributes to my long-term goal of being successful in the eyes of God. Even if I'm sleepy and I want to go to bed, I still have to pray my 5th prayer of the day, Isha, the night prayer, because I know that that's going to please God, even if I might be tired in the moment. Whatever your goals are, whatever your long-term goals are, they're very intertwined with your purpose. I believe that most people naturally have good goals, positive goals that can help people in long term. And I'm talking specifically long-term goals. So, for example, if you were to ask someone random, I think most of the time they would have, say, it was something along the lines of give back to the community, you know? But a lot of people have the idea that they can only give back to the community once they're in a position to do so, whatever that means. Once they have enough money or once they are at the top of their career. But your long-term goal is something that you would want to be doing every single day. And if you were to die any day on your journey, you would be able to say, yes, I was on my journey of completing my long-term goals. I was on the journey of doing my purpose, whatever that may be. So let's say you ask them what their long-term goals are, and it is to run or help orphan organizations that help orphans. You don't have to be someone rich to then buy land, open up a property, find those who are in need. You can, if you're in a position where you don't have money, you can then do outreach and speak to those people who have already done those things which you want to do. And you may be asking yourself, how does this all connect with nature? Short-term goals are the ideal for the type of world that we live in because it's fast-paced. You're always thinking of what's next, what's next, what's next. By connecting with nature, things slow down, your environment changes, and you get to ask yourself, so what? You get to ask yourself, I spent the last year, the last 5 years, the last 10 years doing this. Why? Or so what? Or what's the point? Or what's my end goal? These are questions only you can answer. But by connecting with nature, you can shift your mindset from short term to long term. And you can start asking those questions that truly matter. And you can start hearing yourself for what you want in life. I want to end with asking a simple question. And this is a question that can help get you thinking about if you're spending the right amount of time on the right things. Because this is a question I try asking myself a lot. Your day to day, break up the amount of time that you spent doing a task. Let's say you spent 2 hours doing one task, 3 hours doing another. Would you be satisfied living today every single day of your life for the rest of your life? If not, ask yourself why. Is it because it aligns primarily with your short-term goals after thinking about it, and you think that today you wouldn't want to live it every day of your life? In fact, you don't want to live today again. And think about why. Maybe it's because you're not satisfied with the things that you're investing your time in. And maybe it's because you're investing more of your time in short-term goals that are just going to pass once you achieve them, rather than long-term goals that will stick forever, that will allow you to do those things you actually want to achieve in life. So take that step. Take a time, any time in the day, every day, to go for a walk or to go for a drive, connect with nature, connect with yourself, and ask yourself these important questions. I hope you benefited at least a little bit from anything I've said. And please take care of yourself. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. The truth can mean you don't live the life that you want to live.